One, before you yell at me, I'm completely hands on the steering wheel, and this camera is just set up recording. So don't yell at me about recording and driving. I wanted to touch on a couple things before I hit this con. Do you ever have those moments where you're unsure if you're doing the right thing, and the world is aligning itself with your doubts? I feel like those are the moments we realize that not only are we on the right path, but fighting against the world and those doubts will only propel you to the next level. I'm also sorry that I'm messing with my hair because it's still wet from my shower this morning. So there's some things that I want to get out of the way before I actually get to the con. I'm super excited about this con. It's Wizard World Des Moines. I did really well last year. I think I'll do really well again this year. But the thing is, I don't even really have to do that well. I'm splitting the table with a friend. I also have a few friends that are going, so I sold one of them my other wrist strap because they can fill in the table if I need to watch a panel or something like that. But more so than not, so if you split, or the table was $325. Plus I did the corner table for an extra $25, and then 2 wrist straps is $80. So all in all, the total was $430. My friend chipped in for half the table, spent $200 for her half and her wrist strap. And then I sold my other wrist strap for $60. So that makes me need to make up $170. So even if this weekend's a bust, $170 to help my friend that this is her first time at a con, shake those nerves and stuff off. I feel like $170 is worth that. There's a couple other things in play as well. I don't know if you're aware, but ARTHUR Suydam, I believe that's his name, but he was doing cons last year, and he would buy 4 tables, and then he wouldn't do booth placement. So then when he got to the con, his tables were all spread all over heck. So he just picked whatever table he liked the best, and then just shoved everybody else's tables downward. So he just had his 4 lined up. I believe he was at Wizard World Des Moines last year as well. I'll know when I get there and see him, because I'll recognize his artwork and whatnot. But he's been accused of being a bully at these things, and getting no play no crap. He's been a bully at these things, and when I got booth placement, since I had my notifications set up, I was probably one of the first ones to lay down for their booth. I noticed the corner closest in Artist Alley to the entrance was available, but it not across the aisle, but behind me is that guy's sedan. So I'm leery of that, but I'm also excited because I went down yesterday and I set up the booth for the most part. I got the backdrop put up. I was going to use grid wall, which we borrowed from a friend, but she didn't have any of the connectors or anything, so I just didn't want the freestanding grid wall. So I opted to go with my old cube blocks. I wasn't a big fan of them when I used them last year. just because I have this grid wall system, like laid flat like panels, and that wasn't working the best. It was working, but just not the best. So I took some time the last few days and built 2 columns that were cube blocks, 6 cubes high, and I believe that's right about 8 foot. You can go 10 foot, but then I couldn't reach to change the banner every night, so I opted for 6 high. So I put the 2 towers up, and then I have grid wall across the top 2, 3 across. So it's 6 high, 5 across. Not only does that allow us a little extra storage for like putting bags and stuff that we can get to and access quickly, just gives us a little extra storage for those cube walls as well. We're also going to be hanging some things on it and whatnot, but I think the storage aspect of it's going to be the better part of it. I definitely took my time in building the grid wall, and it actually looks a lot better than those old panels zip stripped to my dolly cart did, so there's that. I also opted, I got a bunch of new portfolios and whatnot, but they're black, to show off Bristol pages and whatnot, for the comic making process and whatnot, and I always had a black sheet. I still have that black sheet, but I decided to change it up, and instead of laying that on the tables, I'm thinking I'm just going to cover up what we have on the tables at night. But instead of doing the black sheet, I decided to opt for some crushed velvet, almost yellow or peach colored blankets. I think they really look nice. I think they're going to really set us apart from other tables. So yeah, I'm really excited about our booth placement, and the fact that my friend Alex Black, that hasn't done any cons or anything like that, to get her work out there, because she's an incredible artist. She just needs to realize it herself, which I'm excited to help her with. So that's really all the stuff prior to the show that I wanted to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is my books. If you follow my blog or my videos and whatnot, you know that I ran a Kickstarter back in March. That was not only for the trade, which collects issue 1 through 4, but it also was for issue 5 to get printed. Now my printer has been yanking me around and telling me he's been getting things printed, and I think he's had the intention to get them printed, but just hasn't made good on it. So I would get these messages like, oh yeah, they're done, I just got to take them over to the binder, blah blah blah. And then I would see him post on Facebook about, hey, is anybody else having a problem getting a Dropbox and whatnot, and when I see those messages, I automatically know that he hasn't touched them yet, and they're waiting to be printed. So he did this last weekend, after swearing to me that he would get this order to me by today, which is Friday, the first day of the con. Even if he had overnighted them last night, they still want to be here till Monday. So he had a friend going to the Des Moines Comic Con from Ohio. My printer is based in Ohio. So we put some of my books, sent them with him. I've got to meet up with him later today. I've got to check over the books, make sure they work, make sure there's no misprints. So that's probably going to take a good, considerable chunk of time today. Just checking out those books, making sure they work right and they look alright, because I really haven't seen anything beyond the proofs, and I know I've changed a few things, so here's hoping that they look well. The problem with this all is I've been promised that I was at the top of the list, blah blah blah, And the guy does great work. I'm not knocking his quality of work. I'm knocking his capability to be very communicable. Now, I trust him. I trust his work, whatnot. So when we get to Des Moines today, I'll definitely see if he knocked it out of the park again. He's been very helpful with the first 4 issues and whatnot. So I'm hoping I can continue to trust him. We are definitely going to have a talk after this weekend, considering if I sell out or not. If I sell everything that I have, and I could have used more, it's definitely going to hurt the bottom line, but it's definitely going to put a hamper on our relationship for me, a publisher, and him, the printer. But I think things are going to be alright. I'm hoping anyway. So there's that. He did get a hold of me yesterday. Said even if he got them out yesterday, they wouldn't be here till Monday. I was like, you know what? Don't rush them. If I can't get them to Monday, it's a mute point anyway. Obviously, that's my phone ringing, so not ringing anymore. But since this is mostly his fault, I had the order in ready for him to be printed a month ago. So his lack of communication and inability to update me has put the damper on the whole works, and at this point it's his fault that I don't have my books going to print right now. So he said he was going to discount the order and whatnot. We'll see how far he discounts this order. That's probably going to hinge the most on our relationship, that if it's not a worthwhile discount, and if I do really well this weekend, I really think I'm going to have to start shopping for another printer, which sucks on one hand, because the guy has helped me out plenty. I'm not going to lie, he does great work, and he has helped me along the way to make these books better and better. But in that regards, as he's helped me, he's grown his business as well, which is why I'm cutting him a little slack. I like seeing him do well because he does do quality work, so I'm hoping we can still work together. I would love to finish this series with him, just because of all the help he's given me so far. So I will have to wait and see how good the books are that he sent with his friend, and how much the discount is, and how well our talk goes after this weekend. Because a lot of those hinge on each other, and we'll see. I also finished Pencils for 6 the other day. 6 looks incredible. If you look at issue 1 to the progression and where 6 is, like, it's just insane. It's insane to me, and I'm so excited to get 6 done and into people's hands too now. But first I've got to get 5 into people's hands. So I'm heading down there a little earlier than I wanted to. It's 9:30 now. It takes about an hour and a half to get to Des Moines from Clarion. Me and a bunch of friends rented an Airbnb for the weekend, so I won't have to make that drive every day, but I do have to make it today. I'm going to set up early because I want to get my booth set up, but I also have to number those books and check them over to make sure they're all right. Which brings us to the third and final point. When I started talking a little bit earlier, I was talking about how the world wants to conspire against you and rally with your doubts that you're not doing the right thing. And I have never been more sure of that than today. So yesterday, I posted a blog I'll link that down below. This is a blog I wrote 3 years ago, back in 2013, and I remember the day very vividly because it was the first day I realized that it was time to chase this dream. And the signs had become very clear to the point where I actually saw a sign and was like, oh, well, let's do this damn thing. I bring this up because the sign is very important to me, because not only was it very blatant that the universe was trying to rally with me, it was just awesome that things had lined up and that I actually took notice and knew that it was time to move on this. So with all that being said, 3 years ago, one of my favorite musicians, Rob Flynn, I've talked about him before, incredible inspiration to me. I've seen him live with a Machine Head a few times, and they just keep getting better and better. But he posted a graffiti stencil art, and it read, if you're wanting to achieve greatness, you need to stop asking for permission. Now I took a snapshot of it. I think he posted it on Instagram and whatnot. But I was hanging out with buddies, and I was starting to do this and that, and my girlfriend at the time, we had basically just split up, and it was for her lack of faith in our relationship. That was basically the dividing point, and at that point we split up. It was at this point that it had been about a month, and I was like, I got to get on with my life. I got to do what I want to do, and I want to chase this dream. So that was the point where I really buckled down and started painting a lot more, putting more effort into it. When I did that, I realized that hanging out with my friends was some of the best times I had, but it was time to start cutting back on those times and actually focus on what I wanted to do. We had hung out with friends, I think it was Friday night, but we had planned to hang out again that Saturday night. It was about an hour drive back to home, so I decided to crash at their place. We got home from the bars. I think we closed out the bar, so probably 2 a.m., and my buddy worked at 7 a.m. When he went to leave, he woke me up, told me to sleep on his bed, and I agreed, because why would you choose a couch over a bed? Slept for a few hours, and when I woke up, that same saying was on a picture framed on his wall. And when I saw that, I was like, alright, now let's do something great. So if the world's conspiring against you, know that that's the moment you're being tested, and that you just need to buck up and get through it. That's what I'm doing right now, because when I went to set up at Wizard World last night, I took my full-size van, Odin. When I pulled into the parking garage, there was construction about a block away, so I've got to be careful of that today. But he found a screw from construction, and when I pulled in, I immediately heard this hissing, which was a real pain in the neck because, one, I didn't have my four-way in my van, and two, I didn't have my hydraulic jack, because my brother has it because he's been doing some work in his garage and whatnot. So I had a flat tire inside the hall we were doing Comic-Con at, because I was there for load-in. Thank God I was there for load-in, because we're at a stop sign, so just relax. Or coming to a stop sign. Thank God I had done everything unloaded, so that made it a little easier. But it was having a flat in the place. Thankfully, I did have a spare, so with help from a couple kind strangers, I got the spare on. We got it rolling. I got him home and parked him. Now, since I don't have a spare, I decided to leave him at home. We do have a spare backup vehicle we can use. I planned on using it. Got everything loaded last night and went out to get him fired up today, and it had a flat too. So this is my parents' vehicle. It's their van. I have no choice in the matter. I had to take it because I was already running a little later than I wanted to be, but I know this weekend's going to be worth it. So I will be doing a couple of these confessionals. I'm sorry for the quality. It is on my old 4S. Just because this is my spare camera that I record everything else with. So look forward to a couple more confessionals like this. I'm about to pull in the interstate. I got about an hour drive ahead of me to Des Moines. Thanks for checking out what's been going on. I'm sorry for the lack of updates. But now that I'm starting inking issue 6, the updates will continue again. I definitely had to take some time for myself, reflect, because the whole book order issue that has just been brewing for the last month has just been a mess. And I mean a righteous mess. So hopefully these books are good. Hopefully this weekend rocks. I'll check in with you after con. I'm hopefully gonna do a bunch of snaps, get a bunch of cosplayers, everything. Hopefully it'll be a 3-part series because I'm gonna have enough content from each day. But I am just about to pull on the interstate. I'm gonna stop this recording, make sure I'm safe and not touching everything, adjusting whatnot. But thanks for everything, guys. You guys are incredible. Thanks for following this journey with me. Love you guys, and I'll check with you soon.